We are at Spring Quote Market in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Jean is showing us a bunch of different fun techniques you can do on a sewing machine. We're using the Bernina Artista 730, and now she's going to teach us about doing bobbin work. We've heard a lot about bobbin work here at the show. That's basically doing reverse embroidery. You are putting your decorative thread on the bottom and stitching the decorative thread on the bottom and a plain thread on the top. So let's learn some more from Jean.
When you're doing bobbin work, you always want to start out by testing the stitch to check for the stitch tension that you need and possibly changing the length. What I'm going to do here is make the feather stitch as long and as wide as I can get it. And the 730 Artista has a 9mm stitch capability as far as width is concerned. So I'm going to use
When you say 9mm, not to interrupt, does that mean the
right in between here?
Okay.
Yep, between the feet. Okay. It's 9mm
Gotcha.
Here. Most machines are about 5 or 5.5 millimeters.
Right.
Okay. I'm using stitch 1332, which is a basic feather stitch, and the reason to use that is because it has a nice long jump to it, and that way you can look at your top thread when you turn your fabric over to the right side to see how much you need to adjust the tension. Usually when you are working with bobbin work threads, you've adjusted your bobbin tension. At least, if you do it the first time, you want to adjust it at least one revolution. Always do it over something like a dish or in a baggie so you don't lose that little screw that could fall out if you make it too loose. And then your top tension can be anywhere from 7 to 9. And so I usually, for test purposes, will put it about 8.5.
Makes sense.
Or so I should say 7 to 10.
And Jean also recommends that if you are afraid to change your bobbin tension, get a separate bobbin case.
Most definitely. Never use the bobbin case that came with your machine. You always want to get a second bobbin case that you designate with nail polish or a permanent marker so that it is always your bobbin case bobbin, or your bobbin work bobbin.
Right.
Yes. So now is the time for the revealing.
So let's see what
voila.
it looks like. Ooh, pretty.
Now you can see where your holes have punctured on the sides here, and we don't have a lot of black thread coming up, but part of the deal is too, you probably would want to use a contrasting thread to your top thread and your fabric for your test sew out perhaps, so that you can really see how much of that top thread is coming through to the back side. I'm going to go ahead though, I think, just because I can see how much it's pulling from the holes on the side, I'm going to go ahead and raise my tension all the way to 10 and see what it looks like by doing that.
We are using Kreinik number 4 braid in the bobbin, and the top thread is a 50 weight cotton.
Yes. You always want to have stabilizer on your fabric. We're actually using a bottom weight type fabric, like a pant fabric, and I've used Stacy 101 or Pellon 101 iron-on stabilizer interfacing for this. You can see that the stitch is formed, I think, a little bit better by increasing the tension to 10. You can see that these arms on that feather stitch are a bit longer than they are over here, and that's because you don't see it, but there's a black thread that's coming up from the other side, or the wrong side of the fabric, which is really your top side when you're sewing with bobbin work.
So you want your top thread to kind of match your fabric or to match your thread?
Your top thread, when you're doing bobbin work, so the thread on the wrong side, if you don't want to see it a lot, should match your fabric. If you want to use it as an embellishment part of it, it could match, it could contrast both fabric and thread.
Right.
If you want it to enhance the stitch itself, then you want it to match the stitch.
Our doodle cloths that we've done using the Kreinik metallic threads in the bobbin, just various stitches on the machine. This was the Kreinik 1/16 inch ribbon in a star stitch. It actually comes out looking kind of like a flower. This is the 1/16 inch ribbon also. The next two rows, this one and this one, a Kreinik braid used in the bobbin. And then this beautiful one right here is Kreinik ombre, variegated thread. Again, it's a star stitch that's used in the bobbin. more stitches, Kreinik braid, and the 3 on the end are Kreinik ombre.